insert coin, you know, in Slipknot, really, there are so many things that come out every now and then that any one member could have like a complete epiphany, and you almost walk into a room and be like, Jesus Christ, like how am I gonna add my own interpretation of what I could do onto this? And that's what Insert Coin was, at least to me. This was like a fully formed kind of thing in kind of what we would call Clown's World in Studio 5 at East West. And it was this like fully realized thing where I heard a little bit of percussion that I could add that's in there, and it really sets up the record, the journey that we wanted listeners to take with We Are Not Your Kind, and sets it up perfectly. It's inserting that coin to start this crazy ride that's We Are Not Your Kind. Unsainted. This was an awesome song that came together. I remember the first time we started working on it, I was actually sitting on my drum set, and Clown was also sitting on his drum set, like an actual Slingerland setup kit with drums and cymbals and everything. And we just started jamming. We'll do this stuff where we'll record, 15 minutes straight of just pure stream of consciousness music. And he was doing this thing, boom, 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 boom. And then so I came in with this like this kind of thing. And then that spun into a riff that Jim was working on, and it ultimately became this thing that was so different, but so exciting to us. So that was one of those songs that came together really organically, relatively quickly, and we were really proud of how that song came out. Birth of the Cruel. This is a really exciting track just because it became so different once all the layers of the guys in Slipknot started to become piled onto it. You know, Corey's vocals took it in this really interesting direction, and the push and pull. To me, this is one of the standout tracks that it was like we couldn't get it completely on the vibe when we were playing, playing with like tempos and click track maps and all that kind of stuff. So when we took that all away and we played it as an actual band, like together, all the ebbs and flows and the roller coaster herky-jerkiness of this song, it became what it needed to be. And that was a really exciting one. That showed us that this was going to be a different record. That song came pretty early on, and I believe this one really came from a lot of Jim putting sequences of riffs together, and we were all really excited to get into Birth of the Cruel, so I'm really happy with how that one turned out. Death Because of Death. This is one of the tracks on the album that really just provided that glue to make this a cohesive experience of, a person listening to the songs that we were making. And yeah, it's one of those added kind of ear candy bits that when you're putting together a record, you're just coming up with so many pieces, and you're not really sure how it's gonna all fit together. But then once we've had so many songs, we were like, okay, how do we want to make this a listening experience from start to finish? And we started honing in on the types of vibes that we wanted to go after, and I think Death Because of Death really turned into a great little piece to be connective tissue between songs. And it's a piece all on its own, but it really helps the flow of the album in that way. Nero Forte. This one was awesome to put together. Really happy with how this song came out. It was one of the later songs. This song went through many different iterations, and if I'm not mistaken, kind of led, with certain songs, it's almost like if someone comes with a batch of ideas together, it's kind of almost like that person will spearhead that challenge of creating that song and making it into a Slipknot song. So with this, it came together with really that middle bit, the marching snare drum part. That was all Clown's brain, tapping into that. He came up with that bit, and we just built upon that. And then Mick came in with this crazy thing that you hear in the beginning, this crazy guitar lick that reappears at other parts of the song. Such an exciting song to work on, and that one came together really quickly too. It almost seems like some of my favorite songs, my own personal favorite songs, come together really quickly, and that's because it's instinctual. It just feels good, and We went through a lot of different iterations with it, but it just kept getting better and better and better into what it is that you hear on the album today. That's a really exciting song. Critical Darling. This song came about in sort of the same way that Unsainted did, actually probably around the same time that Unsainted did, kind of in the same thought space that we were in. I remember jamming, doing another one of those kind of 20-minute stream of consciousness, just kind of doing stuff and riff mining, really. And I'm playing along with Jim, and we're doing a thing that's in like 3/4 time signature, and then we were just jamming on that, and then all of a sudden I just kind of slammed into this 4/4 thing, and we caught on to that sort of flow between time signatures that you hear from the verse into the chorus. And that became something really interesting. We're like, oh, we definitely have something there. And again, we just kind of went on from there. And we really were tapping into just the frenetic energy. We really wanted to make those verses really energetic and powerful and vibey and aggro as fuck. And I feel like we accomplished that with Critical Darling. And it explores some spacey parts too. You know, it's a song that goes into a lot of different directions, but I feel has a cohesive vision. A Liar's Funeral. This one was really special from the get-go because it starts out in such a somber way. And I remember we had a lot of versions of this song before Clown actually put down this beautiful piano piece that really, for me, it made me hear the whole song in a different way. And so we approached it from a kind of a different angle from there, and got those dirgy riffs, and it really explores that the bigness of the studio and the sounds that we were able to get, and just everybody really was hands-on with that song. And again, that's one that goes into a bunch of different directions. It starts out with an acoustic guitar, but it's got some of the heaviest moments on the album to me. So that's a special one. It's got a little bit of everything that I think we like about creating Slipknot songs, and it's dirgy. That one's a good dirge. I like that one. Red Flag, bumping it up in tempo again. This one is an all-out blitz war that just really flowed like, I mean, you know, I would never in a million years call it like a punk song, but it really has that just like punk vibe to it that, you know, we all have kind of a background in enjoying fast music like that. And yeah, this is just one of those that really felt, it had like a bounce to it. In the middle section, it gets really interesting. Red Flag's pretty intense. I'm really excited if we play that one live. That one's gonna go off for sure. What's next? This is another one of those kind of connective tissue pieces. I had nothing to do with this, but this is another one kind of from Clown's brain that I believe he actually might even have lyrics to. I would love to hear that someday. But, you know, it's one of those things that sets the tone for what's to come next, which is probably one of the most experimental and interesting and exciting pieces of Slipknot's history. Spiders, the one song on the album that is like absolute risk-taking, and I love that. I love that about Slipknot, that Slipknot takes fucking risks, and this is one that we took the seed of that. We called it, for a while, we called it Clown Pinter. It was Clown on a piano. Sounded like John Carpenter or something like that. Like, fuck man, this sounds like it could be in Halloween or something. And then I actually laid down this beat on the Slingerland kit that he was playing right next to me. I was like, oh, I don't want to play that on my big ass metal drum set. I'm gonna play this on the Slingerland kit. Oh, big open bass drum, thuddy snare drum, and it was perfect. And that song, God, with Jim's guitar solo, is so beautiful, and it really explores all the different interests of the different members of Slipknot and really pushes the boundaries of what this band is. And to me, makes it really exciting for the future, because this is just a hint at the possibilities of the sonic space that Slipknot can occupy. So, Spiders, that's a good one. Orphan. all-out blitz, fucking emotional war. That's one that came together pretty early on, that we knew that we were going to be making a very emotionally intense record, a very sonically heavy record, and ambitious sounding record. To me, you know, as a fan of Slipknot's music and Slipknot's history, this is one that is, it really encompasses that, I don't know, that vibe that we all want in a Slipknot album. Us as the performers and you all as the listeners. This was an exciting song to work on, to build from the ground up, from just a simple guitar riff, and then we went from there. Lots of interesting parts in this, marching snare drums. I mean, it's an all-out blitz of a tune. So, yeah, Orphan, that's the barn burner on We Are Not Your Kind. Not Long for This World. This was a great one because I really feel like we were able to lay into a groove together as a band. I remember when we were recording it, really feeling that interaction between myself and V-Man on bass, especially during the chorus with this just like triplet kick drum thing that he's doing and reacting with on the bass guitar. Really special song. Goes up and down, has all those peaks and valleys that we love to explore. And I think it sets up the latter part of this album really well. It really, to me, it's almost like bringing the listener to the end of this journey, still being pretty balls out, but you know, close to the end of the album. I feel like it's a really nice way to leave the listener in this vibe that we created with the album. Alway Fur. This is a pretty wild tune. Man, what can I say? It's all out aggression in some spaces. It's all completely vibey and spacey in certain places. It really just reflects the kind of, you know, the mood that we were in of creating this album, of Jim coming up with these riffs that, you know, I feel like for any other band, it's like these things are square peg, round hole. It won't make sense together, but somehow with this band and with Jim's riffs and stuff, it really makes sense. Like total thrash riffs, literally neighbors with a riff that's off of, you know, any Pink Floyd album. So that's what this band is, and we just follow, you know, naturally what the song wants to become. And I mean, come on, with a last line like that, how are you gonna end the album any other way? So, Alway Fur, the end of We Are Not Your Kind, and it's a statement for sure.